Perfect. Perfect. Woo! I wasn't even gonna give one more nose blowing before we started. Yeah. Oh man. Clicking on all cylinders right now. Look at that. Right. Everything looks really good right now. This is wild.
We live, so.
I know. I'm just like sitting here taking it all in. Smooth transition today. No technical difficulties. It's a good day. And a smooth transition out. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Welcome, everybody. Above average black men with, of course, you don't want to say your part first. That's what did up today. Chris Jr., where we're here to inspire, empower, and uplift.
So you just took everybody.
Yeah, like I tried to set you up, right? You saw it.
I thought we were.
You saw it. And then he just froze on us.
Nah, because you started, so I was just
teeing you up.
I was on the technical side of things.
But yeah.
But remember, like, follow, subscribe, share, comment. We're on Instagram, Podbeam, Spotify, and now we're also on TikTok. So be on the lookout for that. Above average black men. So give us a follow on there too. We'll be hoping to post some more clips and content on there as well.
Yeah. Excited about that. You know.
So I gotta give you all these different camera angles, man.
It's a lot of camera.
Yeah, I'm trying to. This one is right. This one is dead center. That one is off to the left. That one is off to the right.
It's actually like I said, there's a lot to take in at the beginning of this. All these different angles. I'm just trying to make sure I hit every camera.
You come a long way from the one camera, man. Remember we had the one camera, we were trying to figure out how to angle it. We were in the studio or with the radio station. But yeah, welcome to another show. We're gonna talk about brotherhood.
Yes.
Brotherhood, man. Does it still exist? And does it really matter?
I mean,
three-pronged question, man.
Yeah, I even like when I was trying to think about this today, I just try to think about it in a broader perspective. I always like to think like historically speaking, like I think the term brotherhood may have definitely changed or shifted. I think it definitely exists still to an extent, but I just think it's like now it's more so what we stand for, what we ride on has drastically changed. Like probably back in the day, brotherhood, civil rights, we were coming together for one common goal or cause. Now brotherhood is like, we meet in the gym, we playing basketball a couple times a week.
But so my question is, does it? All right, let's look at brotherhood first, and then we get into the other two parts. Because to me, brotherhood is not just about, people being friends and hanging out. Brotherhood is that I'm going to tell you if you're messing up. Not go tell everybody else, not posting on social media. This is not right. This is not what you should be doing. I think brotherhood is also, at being able to receive it. And if I'm screwing up, to say, look, hey, Chris, this is you. That's not what you should be doing. That's out of character. It's whack. I think brotherhood is also, really generally looking out for the best interests of, if we both may be grinding, but if you make it, I should be happy for you.
Yeah.
I should be happy for you. And if you make it, you should be looking out for me.
You would think.
So I think, to me, I think those things are missing. I'm not saying it don't exist anymore, but on a whole, when I talk to people, about like now, people know somebody for a week and they boys. You don't even know the dude. That's my boy. That's my girl.
I mean, but I guess I think that's what I was talking about with kind of the definition of what brotherhood actually mean has changed. Like you got people who like they getting in gangs, creating gangs, and that's a brotherhood to them.
Brother guy, good evening. Like, Chime in here, man.
That is I think where it's just a drastic distance between like brotherhood back in the day, brotherhood right now. Like it's kind of lost.
I would say it kind of, for me, it kind of changed by like a generation. Like when I think of brotherhood, for this example, like when I'm in the mall or something, and I see someone my age walk by, I go, hey man, how you doing? Just to make sure everything's good, to kind of check in. I may not know you, but just you might have something to say. People my age look at me weird, but like look at you like, oh, why you talk to me? But if I did that to someone like dad's age, oh, we could strike up a whole conversation. it'll turn into them maybe checking up on me or something.
It's like a generation.
Yeah.
You saw me do it. You seen me walking the mall, and say, yo, that's what we did because brother, we generally looking out for each other. It was about not just for each other, but for instance, I was joking with somebody I grew up with last week, and he was one of the biggest thugs in the neighborhood. We were laughing and joking because even him, he didn't bother my mom. He saw my mom, he would carry the groceries. He would stop cursing. My mom was a teacher. Yeah, man. Your mom a teacher, man. So we gonna be cool in class today because she was up. But man, yeah, I mean, so that was brotherhood because I'm not my boy. I'm not gonna disrespect your mom. I'm not gonna disrespect your friend. Now it's different.
I was actually just about to say. I was thinking like when you were saying this. Like, I think it's a lack of community.
Yeah,
which certainly has attributed to just kind of where I think the idea and concept of brotherhood has changed and morphed into something else. Like kind of to Devin's point, like generationally, like, I feel like y'all are way more apt or willing to talk to each other and just randomly, like, say, oh, what's going on? How are things doing? Like, spark up natural conversation where I think for us, a little bit younger, like, it's kind of like we're just like, yo, I don't know you like that. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to get to know you. Or the common ground is for us, like sometimes it's just coming together on little dumb shit that doesn't mean anything.
Playing
Little dumb stuff. Yeah.
But it wasn't about, to me, and it wasn't necessarily
playing 2K. Yeah.
I didn't know a lot of people that I would be, and you'd be with me walking the mall or something. Hey, what's up? I'm good. You good, bro? That's just what we did. It was kind of like, to your point, we were checking on each other. Also, if we were somewhere and we could just make eye contact. Now, I mean, it's different. Now, I think one is different because we live in a selfish generation, not selfless. Where everybody looks out for themselves.
I was gonna say we definitely divided. Like we can't seem to come together.
I was gonna say it's none of my business.
Yeah, and I think one thing too that maybe has attributed it to this a little bit is like we can't come together on anything. Like it's so much division, just like which I think has caused contention where people come together as a brotherhood. It's like if I stand for this, I can't stand for this, or we can't get along for this. It's like I think that's a big part of the problem is that we don't necessarily have one thing that we can say that we stand for and ride on. And that's what kind of brings us together. Again, I brought up the point of kind of civil rights and back in the day, like how, it was kind of easier for them to come together because it's like, hey, we want equal rights. Like, forget everything else. Like, this is what we coming together on. Where now, I don't feel like we have anything like that. Like, what do you feel like we can focus on? And that's like, man, we're going to get that done. And we can come together and agree on this. We just too divided.
But even a step further, and Gary is chiming in. He's on this right. I know what I'm about to say. You can understand. I grew up in a neighborhood where we would fight like cats and dogs. Mm-hmm. We played sportsman. We would go at it. But no boss was going to come in our neighborhood and mess with us. That's just how we were. We would not always agree, but no boss was not going to come into our neighborhood and mess with us. We stuck together. Now, when it was over, we go back to because I want to win, whatever. But I think that's even going now. Where people jump on the side of something else, they come in the neighborhood. People turn against families now. And I think in the Black community, it's so much more prevalent that we are divided and we turn on each other at a hard
drop of a dime.
At the drop of a dime, and for trinkets, for nuggets, for crumbs, or just because.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, at what point, dude? I don't know. I'm just trying to think in my perspective. Yeah. Like, when did this kind of shift change? Like, this kind of lack of, I guess, community in a sense. That's really honestly what it's about to me. It's like, man, it's really a lack of community. Because even to Devin's point, that is kind of insane that we can't. It used to be in certain. It happens now still, where in certain situations you see somebody that looks like you can say, "What's up?" You know what I mean? Like, it's like y'all can connect and bond on the fact that it's like, we're sharing this space together that a lot of people don't look like us. And sometimes I feel like that's even strange now. Like you can't even necessarily come together and have that bond or brotherhood where, we could just come together and say, you know what, you look like me, I look like you. We have a similar experience in some type of way, but you don't even get that.
Yeah, you don't. But I think, again, it's because we everybody's looking out for themselves now, man. And I think, is becoming more and more prevalent with each generation, where it's about me. It's no longer about, you know, people around me. It's about me. I don't care about people. I'm gonna sabotage people, backstab people. I made it.
You think it's something that we can get back though? Like get
Yeah, I think because it has to be. It has to be taught. It has to be taught. It has to be modeled. And we've gotten away from that. You used to hear people say all the time when I was growing up, and Gary can chime in on this too. It took a whole village to raise a child. You know, you don't hear that stuff.
I was about to say, I don't know when's the last time
I'm just saying,
that.
but that's my point. And then we've allowed the media to separate us. You know, we've allowed people who don't live in our community to separate us. You know, we've created a gap between everybody poor. We got to know how to have and have nots in the poor community. You know, so we've allowed different things to separate us, economics, demographics. We've allowed that, but I also think it was on purpose. You know, because if I can keep you fighting amongst yourselves, you never go anywhere. You never gain anywhere. If Black people learn to put all their power together, they could change the face of this country in a week.
Yeah.
In a week. But if I keep you fighting against each other, you will never come together for a common cause.
Right.
And so that's how.
So I think another question here, I think we know kind of at the root of this is that we need to be able to come together on one united front, one cause, you know? And I would like to hear from both of y'all. Like, what would you think or say that cause could or should be? Like, if it was like one thing that we had to put to the forefront.
I mean, Gary says he's enjoying the dialogue, and we appreciate you tuning in, bro. You can do some stuff in the chat box, man. We'll read it. For me, I think the common cause is, and this is going to sound a little crazy when I say this, survival. You know, survival in the sense that, man, we're losing ground as a race. You know, we are not gaining ground. We're losing ground as a race. Most of our schools in the inner city are pitiful. You know, our kids are being undereducated, you know, underfunded. You know, whatever under you have is happening, man. You know, teachers are leaving, flocking outside the city, man. You know, so when we do have teachers, they don't stay long. They stay long enough to get tenure, you know, and then they're gone. You know, so we talking about survival. Each generation, I had a group of kids. You know, I started my group in Roosevelt today, and we talked about mental health. These young boys talking about mental health, and one kid was like, "Yo, man, I was high all summer." You know, and I was like, "You? That just don't sound right." He says, "Man, you don't understand, man. I was depressed." He says, "I was depressed, man, and you know, I was sad, and you know, I did a good job of hiding it, but I found out I no longer know how to mask it." So he says, "You know, I wasn't escaping anything, but for that time frame, it made me feel better. You know, and it made me kind of not think about my issues." And then somebody else chimed in and said, "Yeah, man, you know, I got this situation where, you know, somebody in my family's on crack, and you know, she's selling herself, and I got to see her in the street. You know, she got 2 little kids. You know, my mom said." So all this stuff started coming out, man. You know, so trauma is real. So, but there's nothing in school to treat this.
Right.
You know, so these kids are doing crazy stuff now because I gotta let this out some kind of way. So again, whenever you have any group of people, you know, that's poor and they're stuck in a certain area, there's going to be issues. If you don't give them resources, the issues want to grow.
Yeah.
And so we're really talking about survival because the 21-year-old girl we're talking about who shot the bus driver. You know, I'm reading it. She just had mental health issues, so she shot him twice on a bus, and then 4 times when she was getting off the bus. Coming to find out, you know, family says she was trying to commit herself, and I guess she wasn't that far gone. They thought so they didn't allow her to self-institutionalize herself. So again, lack of resources. Yeah, and I'm not sticking up for her, but I'm saying so that's what you see.
Survival. So Dad, what would you say like is a good?
I mean, Dad mentioned it a little bit, but I would go full force with education. The reason why I'm saying is, I mean, you got to know better to do better, right? When you don't receive the proper education, sometimes, you know, it's easy to get duped, or, you know, it's easy to get caught up in these small things when, you know, honestly, the world's much bigger than that. So I would say, for an example, by the way, this is a little random, but I was talking to someone at my job today. And, we do puzzles sometimes just to interact with our customers. And this guy just goes, "Yeah, I didn't even know puzzles come in circles." And that was just one of the things where just like,
Puzzles can come in.
Yeah, I'm like, bubble come in any shape and size. Like, I mean, that just sounded crazy, but just that small little things like.
So let me
We
ask you a
really
question.
need education for us to
So
succeed.
I agree, and I think that's a part of survival. But let me ask you a question. So what do you do with a group of people who don't see value in education? Who they're divided because of their ignorance, and they're okay with that. They're okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, but you can say the same thing in, I guess, any regard, right? Like,
No, I'm just asking
people
because
that don't value necessarily what it is that we're trying to
but it goes higher
provide or
than
put to the pro.
but
Because obviously that's part of the problem now. Is people don't value it to fight for it now.
But when it comes to education, is it makes it worse because I was talking to the young men today, and I said, let me ask you a question. I said, how many of you had goals or vision before the school year started? So I had about 10 kids in the class, 4 kids raised their hand. How many of you wrote them down? 2 kids raised their hand. So I said, okay, the rest of you guys, I'm assuming you didn't have any values or goals. No. Okay. So I said, now the guys who have values and goals, why do you let those guys distract you? Why? Because they're taking away from your education. They're taking away from you can't achieve your goals, and because they don't have any. So they talking in class, they making fun of people. Yeah. So, but that's my point when I say, when people don't value something, you got to be careful because they can very easily become a distraction. And again, that's the thing. That's a false brotherhood. When we just call people friends, not realizing that, hey, you hurt me. You're not helping me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn so I can have a better life. And you here disrupting class. They got to keep breaking up class, because you in there acting like, so and so and all kind of stuff like that. So I think that's what I was talking about, the false reality, when I think you have to get a definition of what brotherhood is. Because, I'm your boy. I don't even know you. I'm your boy, but I'm trying to steal your girl. I'm your boy, but I'm jealous because you make, you getting what comes to you, and I'm not. Forget the fact that I'm not working at it.
I mean, well, I kind of agree to Devin's point. Education is certainly important, but I think it's something you said too, that like where it's kind of the emotional part, like the mental emotional part. I think right now today is more of an issue than probably ever before, and I think kind of a combination of the two. I think money and resources need to go into kind of local communities that are like actively like boots on the ground, spending time with kids, and kind of. I had an opportunity to see a documentary called kind of Bad Things Happen in Philadelphia. Make sure y'all go check that out when it drops. It'll be on Amazon Prime. But it kind of spoke to the fact that we know that there's problems here. There's given things out there that work, but not enough of us come together to support those things that work.
But that's a lack of brotherhood. That's my point, because it ain't impacting me, so I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, but again, I think that was what I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah,
it's like,
but it was a good point.
Yeah, I wish we could invest in our community, people that's in our community.
But if I'm really my brother's keeper, I do care about stuff like that. I do invest about stuff like that, because if I'm really my brother's keeper, I understand it may not be in my neighborhood today, but it's coming.
Right,
it's coming. So I think. But because there's no sense of brotherhood, we create an isolation, and it's no longer about the sense of the greater good. It's about me.
Yeah. And that's actually a good point too. Is that this like, man, well, really, you have to kind of almost sell people an idea. It's like, man, how can this benefit all of us, or the majority of us at least? Like I think about Obama when he just talked about hope and how that resonated with so many people, across so many different backgrounds and ideologies.
But you have to
it's kind of the same.
You got to get people to think generational, though. I think that's the problem, because if you think generational, you realize it's not just about you. Some of my clients is in rehab, and I was talking to them yesterday, and the conversation we were talking about, what are you here for? Why are you on earth? What's the purpose of being here? And some people will say, well, I'm just getting by. Okay, fine. So have you ever thought about how your lack of vision, your lack of commitment to excellence impacts the next generation? Most people don't. They don't realize that, okay, if I throw my life away and I'm a parent, I'm almost doing my kid to poverty unless something else happens. How did my mom feel that her son is strung out on drugs or stuck on alcohol? They don't think generational. Everybody thinks about today, this moment. And so therefore, there's no need to have brothers, because it's just about me. I say it all the time. I told the kids that, look, dude, I'll be 62 Monday, man. And I think about it because how many of my friends won't be turning 62 this year? Because they passed away. some natural causes, heart attacks, whatever the situations is, or they just turn 62 and didn't make it. So imagine now if we all just live for ourselves. When we die, everything we have goes with us.
Yeah.
We're leaving nothing behind, and you see that with the generations we're dealing with now. Nobody's teaching. Gary said that it starts at home. Nobody's teaching these kids, man, about what a real friendship is, about commitment to somebody other than yourself.
That's
about putting others first.
Big advocate for programs outside of the school, giving places.
I hold doors up. Man, I'm always holding doors.
Yeah.
And you hold doors for some ladies, they look at you like you crazy.
Because nobody's talking. I mean, that might be a whole nother thing.
Yeah. They look at you like you crazy.
Can't take it to the Cheesecake Factory.
Let me tell you, that list has been going. We got to do a show on that because that list is gaining steam. But you know what? Somebody asked me a question about us, and they said, "What would you do?" I said, "I guess I'll be single." I guess I'll be single.
That's the world we live in right now.
But I think, but that's also the sense of brotherhood, and that's from a sister's point of view. You have to understand where somebody is in life, and you have to. It's not enough. I know y'all probably don't read them because they're long, but my devotion. I talked about that in my devotion this morning about how important relationship is. People don't care what you know until they understand, until they know that you care. That's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
And that's true brotherhood. And people don't understand the value and don't value relationships. So I'll say whatever I want to say to you. I'll do whatever I want to do. And then tomorrow, everything's supposed to be okay. I don't really care about your well-being because, I got it off my chest. Even in church, I that's the whole my devotion this morning was about that, about those relationships, man. Because see, when you value relationships, you truly value relationships. You care about the person, and you care enough about the person. It's how you say things. How you treat the person. How you respond to things. Do you even have to respond?
But I mean, that's a societal thing now, where it is kind of this idea of like, I can do and say whatever because I feel, and it's like. Forget whatever,
but that's the problem. When you start off saying,
and that already, how can you form a brother, right?
Yeah. But when you start off by, it's always about how you feel. That's selfishness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's like when I tell some of my clients, you should never tell somebody you make me feel a certain way because you give them power. I'm giving you power if I say you should never tell somebody you make me feel a certain way. And what you can say is, when you do this is how it impacts me. This is how, not I feel like this, because now you led by emotion. If your emotions lead you, if you can't control your emotions, they control you.
Yeah.
And so if we get back to brotherhood, I think that's why we have the issue we have in all walks of life, because we don't get that. In church, my devotion this morning, was religion versus relationship. Because I think we get so, as Christians, we get so busy trying to lay down the letter of the law, we forget about the relationships. We say stuff and hurt people in the name of Jesus, and that's not cool. And then even in businesses fail because people start out working together, and now all of a sudden, it ain't a real brotherhood because I'm trying to get, I gotta outdo you. You can't do better than me. You can't outshine me. So the business crash and burn. It could be the best idea.
Yeah.
Basketball teams, professional teams crash and burn. Why? Because we brothers until somebody started getting some shine. Until somebody now all of a sudden, So I think in every walk of life, the lack of brotherhood is showing up in society. The lack of commitment to each other is, we were talking about James Harden. It's a perfect example. Dude, all about himself, man. He at one time, he was no doubt about a top 75. Now, people ain't even looking at his talent anymore. Right? Yeah, they're not even looking at his talent anymore.
His character.
Yeah. So, but because he's not committed to anybody. 1 minute, you my dog, you my bull. We ride or die. And next minute, I gotta get out of here, man. Because why? Because I'm not getting what I want.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come to practice. I'm going to send the bench and be a distraction.
He was getting too much of what he wanted because Daryl Morey did everything.
Yeah,
that's a story for
but see, that's my point. If you don't understand brotherhood, you don't understand that. Yeah. You don't care because you're supposed to do that for me. I'm entitled to this kind of treatment, man. If you don't get brotherhood, and because it's not being and Gary was right, nobody's talking about that. Nobody's teaching these kids about relationships.
I mean, that's actually kind of a good, I think, analogy that you use, the NBA and the AABM Brotherhood, because they certainly don't stick around. No. They all leave each other.
But they when they first get there, man, we gonna do this, we that, man. We that's my man. We inseparable. This is the third time Russell Westbrook and James Harden gonna be together. That's the third time.
I think again, it's like it's a societal thing though right now, where everybody looks at what's best for me? Like, what can I get out of this? Or like,
what is it gonna do?
yeah, even if I'm doing something for somebody else, it's like, how is this
But you would
going
never,
to benefit me?
if once I figured out, and this is when I was a freshman in college, a female professor told me this, and I'll never forget it. She said, "You guys have to understand this as African American men, but as African Americans as a whole." She said, "There's a basic formula in America that's going to outlive all of us. One, to Devin's point, I'm gonna keep you uneducated.
Yep.
Because as long as I keep you uneducated, I'll keep you poor. And education is not just about academics. It's about the way of life. It's about the interacting of things that make us a community, that make us grow together. If I can keep you uneducated and keep you poor, I will always control you because you always got to come to me to get by." And she likened it, and it's still true. It's like when you get paid minimum wage. Minimum wage is just enough to keep you coming back to work the next week. It ain't designed to get you rich. It ain't designed to put money in your pocket.
Right.
It ain't designed to do nothing but to give you enough to come back here and do it all over again next week. So when you don't have brotherhood, that's the formula that's destroying us.
Yeah, and it's just like you can see where it's probably impacting us, just the lack of it.
Yeah, man.
Because it's like, again, we can't get nothing done. Like between our politicians and not being able to hold them accountable. No, because that's definitely a part of it. Like, even our schools and with their falling apart, we can't come together and talk about that.
I did the worst thing I could possibly do. Actually, listen to some politicians this week. I've never been so discouraged in my entire life.
Dad, I've been trying to say this to you.
I know, I agree with you, but I usually, your mom looks at it all the time. So this week, okay, let me hear what some of the people were saying. And some of them, like one guy, and this goes back to lack of brotherhood. One guy was a politician, and he was talking to a group of college kids. So the college dude says, "Look, man, I'm on nobody's side, but this is you saying all this stuff, but this is the facts of it."
Yep.
He was saying the facts of it is, he said, I'm not on. He said it again, I'm not on Israel, Palestine, Gaza, but you're sitting here saying all this stuff about the Palestinians and about Gaza, but you're not talking about that Israel has over 280 something kids. Palestinian kids they have. You're not talking about how Israel is really like a dictatorship. Palestinians are like working and so forth. No, I'm just saying. My point wasn't what he was saying. My point was that this politician, he wasn't hearing any of that. Nah. He just kept saying the same. I'm thinking to myself, like, so finally the guy said, "No, I need you to listen to me." And then the guy said something, and this is the part you're gonna like, because the politician goes, "Well, he says, so the guy says, why they can't just have two states?" Right? Why they just can't come together, have two states, have unity? So the politician goes, "Well, because it's Israel's land." So the other guy says, "Well, no, that's not true because the Palestinians were there first." So then he said, so the guy said, "Where you get it from?" He said, "The history books." So that's the politician asked him. So the politician goes, well, who's there now? And this guy, Kyle, said something with his deep. He said, "Yeah, tell that to the Indians." So my point I'm making is, the college kid is trying to say, let's come together. Let's figure out how we can work this out in a nonviolent manner. And the politician is up there just thing after thing after thing to keep fanning the flames. So my point is, that's why because that's why we have this unity. Because the people who are supposed to be leading us, they don't walk in unity. They can't agree. They can't agree on what day of the week it is.
I think that's actually one of the greatest points that we probably made tonight is that, the people at the top, like at the head, they can't come to agreements on anything. And it's been like this for years now. It's just been getting progressively worse, it feels like. And I think it shows with how our society is right now. Like, we pretty much are just a reflection of what is happening.
But I think what you see happening now is not so much that it has been happening over and over again. You have fewer people with character and integrity now. That's the difference. You always had people before who would speak up and say, "No, that's wrong," regardless of party affiliation or whatever. You always had it. And now you don't have those people anymore. So now it's more prevalent.
You're all taking bribes.
But I think, because I'm telling you, if I can keep y'all fighting each other, you can never muster up enough strength to fight me. That's just the bottom line. I don't care how powerful you are. It's the same thing. And I use the analogy all the time. When you go back to slave, the house Negro, the field Negro. If I keep y'all fighting, you're not going to realize y'all got us down 10-1.
Right.
And the minute Nat Turner figured it out, black person snitched on him. So I'm just saying, so as long as I keep you fighting against each other,
Yeah.
So this whole lack of brother thing is, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's on purpose.
Intentional.
But it's on purpose. It's very
No,
intentional. It's purposeful.
Listen,
It starts with schools. If you go back and look at schools, there's no way you can tell me you for the children and you got little brown kids in schools where you don't have enough books, they don't have libraries, they got inadequate, Wi-Fi. The teachers, are flawed. They're getting out to school faster than they coming in because you don't pay them enough and they got to buy their own supplies. So I mean, come on, man. So, but how are you going to stand up and tell me you're not for the kids, or these not for the kids who look like me? So I think and what happens is, but they throw bones because you know what, I'm gonna do this over here just a little bit. So now we fighting over this little bit of crumb. We fighting over $500,000, and there's $1 million on the table. They done took the rest of it, threw $500,000 down there for us to fight. So we don't. Our lack of brotherhood is because they keep us going at against each other.
Yeah. And I think it's important. Something I think we need to see is like how to model it. You know what I mean? Like seeing somebody.
It's the AC's before you every day. Yo, when the Eagles play on Sunday, man, them people don't care if you green, purple, orange, blue, pink. Yo,
there's something a little bit more.
So, but I'm just saying though, when the Phillies play, people didn't care.
Yeah, it's possible, but I'm just saying, like,
I'm saying it is possible. It's just that you gotta, our priorities are screwed up.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I want to see like an example of a group of men that are just out here in the trenches, like just whether that's showing up to schools or like just being in the community.
There are. They're just not. There's not enough. But there are some who go into school. We we did the painting deal.
We always come together for sports.
We did the deal with McClure, man. We did the painting, and it wasn't just black, but it was some nice young black brothers who showed up.
Yeah.
We came out, man, and I was laughing because when we got there, some people were in there painting and stuff, and it was real quiet. So, brothers got to bring the music. All of a sudden, the music is playing. Now people talking to each other, laughing and joking. Women talking to men talking to women, white people talking to black. It didn't matter. So it can happen. It's just you got to get the right conditions, the right situation, and how do you make it happen on a broader scale?
Right.
And the thing is, how do you sustain it? How do you make it sustainable? But I think the only way you make it sustainable is people have to be purposeful about it, because the minute you start growing it, somebody's going to come in. Like you'll get, and I'm not being smart, but you get some black leaders that come in, man. Well, ain't nothing because they ain't invite me.
And I'm
not taking my people down there, man. First of all, you're not your people, but I ain't taking my people down there because they ain't invite me to the table. So what? Just go sit at the table. Make your presence known. So, how sometimes you got to go, and brotherhood means sometimes you got to go and say, how can I serve? Yeah. It ain't always you got to be at the end of the table.
Right. And I mean, I think it's just a vision of seeing what the greater good is, and like just kind of put in how you feel to the side.
But I'm saying that's it can happen.
Yeah.
It just has to be purposeful, and it has to be made sustainable. Imagine if if people in every neighborhood said we're going to adopt our school. We're going to start there. That's the easy.
That's what I'm saying.
We're going to adopt our school. We're going to go up there. We're going to make sure the schoolyard is clean. We're going to make sure no glasses out there. The neighborhood knuckleheads, man. We're going to shoo them away from there. We're going to even we put $5 a piece to help get books for the library. Yes, it could change all that.
Yeah.
But too many of us sit at home, and Wayne said something that not enough people believe in themselves. That's the problem. Too many people sit home thinking, what difference am I going to make?
I think that's
I can't change anything. Yeah. Or this is my kids are hype. My kids are okay.
And that's actually probably a point that I feel like I wanted to touch upon a little bit earlier when we were talking about this idea of like being able to have a unifying message. I think there's so many people that they probably exclude themselves and just like, well, I'm all right. My family's all right. This is all right. Like,
but my question is, are you okay? It's like when without saying no names, and I decide to leave a certain church.
Is it all right?
But this is the perfect example. When I decided to leave a certain church that I was in, because it was a multicultural church, and the individual in charge was like, when George Floyd was going on, he didn't see fit to address the fact that people like me, just weren't being treated fairly. Even when people inside the church congregation was saying those things, because it wasn't that big a deal. we're being too sensitive. So that's my point. When people in position who can have opportunity to bring people together fail to have a discussion, it puts another wedge in there.
Yeah.
You know, because a part of leadership is your number one priority is not to you, it's to the people you serve. And part of leadership is how can I bring the most people together? You know, how can I do the greater good? You're never going to make everybody happy. Well, how do I do the greater good? You know, and the toughest part about it is why we fail to have it is because you got to take yourself out the equation, man. It's not about you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like when I did a workshop in the PD day, and it was all maybe 2 black people, and the rest teacher was white, and we was talking about race. And race is a tough subject. You know,
Always.
there's always one I want to dive into because you know I'm an information nut.
Mhm.
So the question I asked them was, I said, hey, how many of you guys in here learned about African Americans through social media, through video, through the media? Almost 2/3 of them raised their hand.
Yeah.
So my next question was, well, how are you serving the population that you really don't know?
Oh, you mean I do my extensive research?
No, you know what somebody told me? So I said, they said, well, you know, we're going to teach them a sense of community. Well, whose community? Well, our community. So no, what you're telling them is your community is the only community.
Mhm.
I said, so let me ask you a question though. How do you assimilate somebody to your community when you don't know where they came from? I give you a perfect example. In my community, people with hoodies, they wear sunglasses, that's cool. And your community is rude.
It's rude.
No, they do. They consider it's rude because a lot of schools are trying to get off of those because they think it's rude and disrespectful, and you try to explain to them not. So I said, so how do you assimilate him in there? Because now you're offending this whole community.
Mm.
He was born and raised that way. And your assumption is the minute he walks into your community, he's supposed to let all that go and just be a part of your community. It don't work like that.
Code switch.
But that's the problem though, because in the true brotherhood situation, you walk with somebody to get them to where you want them to be. I don't walk up to you and say, you know, Devin, man, you need to change everything. You know, today, cut your hair, do change everything. That's not brotherhood. You know, that's me manipulating you, monopolize you, trying to get a dictatorship.
I mean, I think that's probably part of the problem. Bigger, there is like this a lack of willingness to accept people for their differences.
Yeah.
Like I said, and like
He posted, I know this is what you say all the time.
Yeah.
Gary said, Chris, we must put new people at the table. It's time for change in those elected positions, especially in Philadelphia.
yeah,
I knew. Go ahead.
I'm all
Go ahead.
for that. Like
People don't even want to vote.
no, but people
knew you
half
had
the time
that.
don't know who to vote
Yeah.
for. Like they just going in there pressing the button.
But I blame people for that. You got to do your research, man. You got to do your research.
We
Some.
complain about the same
Some.
stuff all the time, but nobody's even going in there and like. I think you brought up this point before, like you know, it's the kind of grassroots politician, somebody that you know locally that would make a change or be beneficial for the community. Like I feel like there's a couple people that I've seen online that you know, if I could, you know, I would push them and be like, yo, let's go get this guy. Let's make this guy a mayor. Let's go.
So Wayne says, how do we decide what people will benefit? Somebody want to talk about that before I
What
respond?
do you mean? What people?
When I said you got to do what's for the greater good. So whenever you do something for the greater good, some people are not they're just not gonna be happy.
I mean, like, well, to the point that I said, like, there's some people who may feel like, all right, well, my kid is educated or my kid goes to school. Well, what about the larger population of kids that don't have that? That don't have those access to those resources.
There's
So
probably a lot more kids that don't have it.
and I think that benefits us as a whole because now those kids think different. They start to handle the situations that they're in different. They see the world differently and can chase and pursue different things. And then even for ourselves, like I mean, we as a whole get seen in a different light if there's change.
But you answered the question though, because you just said it. It's not about deciding who gets what. It's making it available and accessible to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Now they choose whether they want to get in the program or not. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you have to do is like, when I was talking to the kids again, I told them, I said, let me explain something to you. I said, you know, every society has rules. They do. And you have to figure out how to play the game once you know the rules.
Mm-hmm.
If you continue to break the rules, then you're going to get what you get. Now, translating to what Wayne asked, it's the same thing. If I put it out there for everybody, you got to figure out what you're going to do. You got to figure it out. You got to say, well, am I going to accept this? And unfortunately, there's going to be some who don't accept it. So my point is, you know, I don't want to say I can't worry about them, but I got to do what's for the greater good. That doesn't mean I'm excluding you. What I'm saying is, this is right now, to Chris's point, your kid may be a straight A student, a scholar. but I can't make every program a program for a scholar because every kid is not a scholar. So I try to put the best academic program I can put out there. Now this kid can take this program and do the extra stuff on his own, but I can't take a whole school and make it all scholar programs because there's 3 kids. So that's what I meant when you do it for the greater good. And I'm not saying who doesn't get. What I'm saying is people have to figure out how to get the extra for themselves because it's the most people is going to. It's like sports.
Yeah.
Perfect example of the Eagles. And because I love giving sports analogy. People got upset because AJ Brown was upset because he didn't get the ball. And I'm saying, but now
it's not helping my fantasy.
No, but they're winning. What I'm saying is, but some else ain't getting the ball now. So, but they're winning. But you can't argue because when he wasn't getting the ball, they lost. But he didn't get, they lost. So if I'm on a team, I'm saying to myself, when that dude gets the ball, we got a chance to go to the Super Bowl. When that dude get the ball, we lost. So at some point, I got to say, if I'm for the greater good, I want to win. So he got to get the ball.
Yeah.
So I'm not discrediting anybody else, but the greater good is because if we go to the Super Bowl, we all get paid. Every round we go in the playoffs, we all get paid. If I'm on a contract year and I need to make more money and I'm in a grunt position, that's not the fame and game, I got a chance to make more money because more people are going to see me now because we're going to be on national TV.
But I think one thing that you kind of brought up or said is like, you're talking about doing things for the greater good. I don't think it's hard for people to look at it and see that approach. The greater good. So you mean I got to do something for nobody I might ever see or meet? Like,
but you're thinking generational though. It's not about. And I
understand that. I know that.
I know you. People get mad when I say this. I sat in rooms about 20 years ago when they decided that they were going to cut funding for upper middle school and high school programs because those kids, it was too late for them. They set in their ways, and I'm like, nah, you can't. They set in their ways, and we just waste some money. We got to concentrate on the younger kids. Well, guess whose kids we're dealing with now? That same population that we decided not to fund, not to take care, not to teach us stuff we need to teach them. They have kids, they ain't teaching their kids, so now we're dealing with their kids. That's what you're seeing now. So what I mean for the greater good is you can't sit there to Wayne's point and separate. The greater good is you got to put it out there, man, and to Wayne's point, some are going to take it, some are not, but you have to make it accessible. You can't decide because 5 kids in a school give you a problem, you want to cut out a whole generation, and that's what they did.
So, I mean, I guess I'm interested to kind of finish the conversation. We got like 15 minutes or so left.
This sounds fast.
Like, what are the benefits? I think we've all talked about kind of, there's certainly a lack of brotherhood today. But, what are the benefits of actually having it? I think that's probably something that needs to get talked about and discussed a little bit more, too.
You both co-founder.
And what does that look like?
You both co-founder. I just had, Ted Joseph, who was my mentor. And I remember when I first got into running programs, doing stuff like that, and he didn't have to work with me. He didn't have to. He could have got one of his friends in the same age bracket and hooked him up, but he worked with me. So we both benefited from it. He helped me and I helped him. I grew. He got the program he was looking for. And we have a friendship. So the greater good you do for people because, as the grandmom said, when your hand is closed, you can't receive. People remember the good stuff you do for them. They do. Now, not everybody. Some people are just going to be butt wipes. That's just the bottom line. They are. They no matter what you do for them, it'll never be enough. They're complaining, moaning, groan, and they'll do one thing for you and say, remember when. But you have some people who will generally remember the good stuff you do for them. You have some people who say, man, you know what? I remember, when this was going on and you did this and you said that. And so it is benefits. And you never know when you need somebody's help.
Yeah.
That's in that position now because you did something for them. Or it's generational because, maybe this kid ain't out here mugging and shooting and stabbing and robbing people.
Yeah.
Because you helped his dad turn his life around or his mom. So now they're raising kids in the same manner. So it's a societal benefits. Is it always going to pay dividends off you directly? No.
And I think kind of a few things that you referenced or said, is like just having a brotherhood allows for you to kind of help push and support and motivate each other, even present or open up opportunities in some instances. Because I know, especially coming out of college, and looking for a job, it was like times where I got into somewhere because I had a friend who was working there, or their dad was working there, or just kind of taking advantage of the brotherhood or bond that I created. I think, Devin, for you, like being part of a fraternity. And for a lot of guys, like being in fraternities, like that gives them a brotherhood bond. And thinking bigger, like you can use those bonds when, you know, you never know who somebody might be. Like somebody might end up in politics.
Yeah.
Somebody might be a lawyer. Somebody might be something that you need or need assistance.
It's not like that. Now, as one who kind of seen the whole cycle, it's not, because there's people who are in position who can say, you know what, I'm gonna help you because you're gonna help me.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of that, but
you help me greater good, and they don't. You know, that whole sense of brother thing has changed. You know, the sense of looking out for the greater good has changed. There's also, you know, there's more jealousy. There's more, and Wayne just put it, I'm not gonna let Devin and Chris get ahead of me. You know, forget that they're doing something good. I'm just not gonna let them get ahead of me. You know, or who does he think he is? Who does she think he is? You know, even in relationships, male, females, you know, is this whole thing about competition, like, oh, they think they're better than me, you know, he's arrogant, she's arrogant, he's cocky, she's cocky. You know, we talk about a lot of time on the show, man, when you get the genders fighting against the gender wars, man, there's always something out there to plot us against each other, destroy brotherhood.
Yeah.
But we have to recognize that. And the problem is we don't recognize it. We take the bait. Yeah. You know, we take the bait, man, and we take the bait every time. And it's almost like we all know wrestling is not real. So I apologize. But that's the whole thing of wrestling, man. You know, that's the whole thing of wrestling. You'll have two people that be best friends. But when do they get more popular? When they start fighting each other.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, yeah, that's what you know. You take the heel. Rock started as a bad guy. Hulk Hogan started, you know, in a minute, you know, I'm telling you, because that's, and we know wrestling is scripted, but it's almost scripted like real life, because people like that. They like to see people start going at each other. You know, they want to see people fight and feud. They don't understand when, like, people talk about this show all the time. Man, I can't believe that you know. But I know a lot of dads who tight with their sons. They may not be doing a podcast, but you know, I know a lot of kids who walk with their dads. Yeah, but people look at it like it's a, but wow, because society is painting this picture. And I'm not trying to be funny, but they paint this picture as the black family can't be like that. If the black family like that, it's an anomaly. It's not real. And this goes back to lack of brother, because black people jump on the bandwagon.
But you want to know, I'm glad we talked about this, because Kenyon Martin, you know, he used to play for the Nets. His son got traded to the Sixers, right? So Gilbert Arenas has a podcast, and Kenyon was on there. He was actually getting kind of emotional because his son got traded from LA, which is their home, to Philadelphia. And it was kind of like it was nice to see him like being emotional as a father, like he was.
That dude was
right. To know who he was, right, to know how tough he was, and like to see him kind of opening up and be like, man, like I'm still a father and I want my son around. But I think the best part too is the idea of brotherhood and how all the other dudes on set, like Gil and Rashad McCants, and like they really like kind of was there for him in that moment and trying to support him, and like it was cool to see that on camera, like that moment.
But that's the part that people don't talk about. Like nobody talks about the friendship, you know, a lot of NBA players have with LeBron's kids. Nobody talks about that. Or you know, Steph Curry play with all these, you know, players' kids and stuff in the league. They don't talk about that. You know, the amount of people that look out for Kobe Bryant's wife now, you know, and his kids now. Nobody ever talks.
That's about actually a good model kind
of. But nobody ever talks about that.
You know, like the NBA players look out.
Yeah, but the problem is, the media is not going to tell you that.
No.
But the media show you every time a brother fight a brother. You know, every time there's some dysfunction in the team or a family in the street, that makes the front page. You know, or they make fun of you, or you like the Cosbys. You know, they associated some TV show that's not real, and we buy into it. You know, we as African Americans, we buy into the false narrative, because we think it's crazy when we see a black family intact. We think it's crazy when we see a black dad doing something. You know, and you went, oh man, you know, there'll be more people like him. And there's more people like him. You know, just because you didn't pick the right person, just because
I'm about to expose myself for a moment, because it's like, you know, when you was just sitting here talking about like how we look at each other, we see things and we kind of start hating on it. I was like talking about how like, you're never going to see a bunch of black dudes at brunch, and if you do, something's kind of not right there. Like, I just was like, why can't we just go as a group, like a minute, like do things? But I just feel like there is some contention, like some guys don't do that. Like, it's just like some guys that feel like they can't.
Wow, because a stereotype of an image somebody else portrayed and put out there It was put out there on purpose.
Yeah.
So we why though? Why? I mean, we got to get past that, and this way you got to get back to being, you got to kind of focus on. And I don't mean this in a bad way. So I know somebody's going to take this and run with it the wrong way, but sometimes black folk got to focus on black folk, man.
Yeah, you do.
We got to stop worrying about what somebody who don't look like us, who don't think like us, who don't understand, not even trying to understand this. Why are they setting the standard for us? I don't understand it. Why are they painting narratives for us that we're fulfilling? Yeah, man, they're uneducated, they poor, that's why they're killing each other. We buy into the narrative. No, in a brotherhood, you respect people. We can agree to disagree. That's okay.
Right, agree to disagree.
But I have enough respect for you that I respect your life, that you have value. And we don't have that anymore.
It's a lack of respect.
Yeah.
I think that might be a whole nother show or conversation. In our community, period, it's a lack of respect. Men, women, elders.
Yeah, it's like a
youngins to the elders.
Yeah. It's like the episode of First Take when you saw, what's his name? T.O. tell Stephen A. Smith that Max Kelvin was blacker than him.
Yeah,
like that's a crazy disrespectful thing to say to another black man
on live TV.
Yeah, but again, look who you talking about. This is the same guy said, "I love me some me."
Right.
This is the same guy that every team he's been on, it's always been about him. Every team he's been on, it's always been about him.
So why wouldn't he say that?
Yeah, but you know what? Why would you put him in a position he gonna say that? Yeah. This dude has never been on anything where he didn't say anything stupid. And that's who he is. And I don't know if it's stupid because he does it because he keeps himself relevant.
Right. But you know what though, like to demonstrate, it's like, or what we've been saying, it's like, man, even if you don't agree with somebody, you dislike somebody, the things that they say, it's like, man, we should be able to kind of get it, like, you know what, I'm not going to put another man down. Yeah. I'm not going to.
Well, how about this? How about if I got a problem with you, I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to media.
Right. Yeah, that too.
I'm not posting on social media. I got a problem with you. Yo, let me pick up the phone and say, hey, especially two famous people. It ain't like y'all too hard for y'all to find each other. Look, hey, let's talk about this and squash it in private. Hey, let's meet for brunch. I'm something, but we put it out there, and then we allow people to fan the flames. Now pride gets in the way, so now I gotta keep this thing going.
Yeah.
So again, but a true sense of brotherhood is nobody's going to come between us, man. You know what? Devin said this. No, I'm going to Devin to find out myself. Hey, bro, what's going on? I'm not going to respond in the paper. And like Kenyon Martin, he should be like that about his son, man. It's no different when I watch Greg Anthony talk about his son.
Yeah.
Yo, dude, it's something about to be a millionaire.
Right. But then again, like I said, even the people like supporting him in that moment of like,
because but that's lacking now. And I know the show gets a lot of ratings, like, and people going to disagree. But there's sometimes I think Shaq and Barkley go overboard when they talk about certain black athletes. I think they go overboard. And you do it because you're getting a fat paycheck. You do it because you're making people laugh, but you're doing it at somebody else's expense.
And I think they do it because they just look at themselves as like,
all the fun they made about McGee.
JaVale McGee,
but he got more rings than Charles got.
Okay.
He went away from Shaq.
I'm just saying he had more rings than Charles got. So what are you talking about?
Went away from Shaq.
Yeah, but I'm saying but
that's crazy.
But you just beat this man down every time you get because you think it's funny.
Yeah, and I think what's actually kind of with that is JaVale McGee is actually a pretty intelligent dude.
Yeah,
funny, well spoken.
And he helps teams win. He didn't get rings for sitting on the bench. He contributed to the teams. But
basketball IQ might have been a little low starting out.
But that's my point. They make money being a buffoon for somebody else at another black person's expense. So we have that. And I'm not against Charles Barkley and Shaquille. I'm not. But that happens so often where a person of color attacks another person. Stephen A. Smith falls into the same category. You start beating up on somebody else, and the people who pay you that don't look like us enjoy it, and it gets ratings.
Yeah, that's the ESPN kind of.
Look what they did to Kyrie.
Right.
Like perfect example.
Malika Andrews, like how she talks about any person of color that has an issue, like it's just
any person in man.
You're right. I apologize. Let me make that.
Yeah, but it catapult. You wouldn't have heard of her unless she did those stories.
Right.
ESPN wasn't going to put out there. If Stephen A. Smith didn't portray a loudmouth black man, he wouldn't be where he is now.
Yeah.
It's not like he gives you this great intellect when it comes to sports.
Nah, it's just
He's a
entertaining.
bad-
He's loud. He's going to say something crazy, and that's his niche.
Yeah.
What brotherhood is it? Like Kyrie. I don't. I think he said and did some crazy things, but you know what? He was always honest and genuine. He didn't kill nobody. He didn't rape nobody. He wasn't out there robbing nobody.
Right.
He had an opinion about a film, whether you agree or disagree.
And he said the
But-
world was
but,
flat.
But ain't nobody. They didn't come out and say let's boycott Amazon for showing it.
Right.
Or Shaq in his movie theater.
Shaq showed his movie there.
Shaq showed the movie theater.
So that's my point. But we just piled on, and you notice it was Stephen A. Smith leading the charge. We always got to break the story. Black people got to always be the one to break the story. When Kobe died, and what's the chick name? She got mad because everybody got on her, and she started trying to say he was having affairs and all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. That's what you put out the day somebody died.
Yeah.
And you ain't breaking the story. But anybody, if you got it, somebody else got it. Don't you do
I mean,
but,
that's
and
again,
then she got mad because everybody got mad at her. Yo, respect. We can't even respect each other. And that's, and now I'm getting to the gender thing.
that's the
That's
root,
why there's no brotherhood.
yeah, that root of like a lack of respect.
And I'm going to get ahead on somebody's dead body.
Yeah. Like I think it's selfishness, a lack of respect, and it's like all these things that kind of compound on the fact that if there's a lack of brotherhood and just people aren't looking for that anymore.
Yeah.
And I think to kind of go with this, if people are, generally they kind of stay in the bubble. I myself included, I'm guilty. Like I generally kind of float and hang around people that I know are going to be about things that I have kind of invested interest in.
So we got a conversation. Gary said, yes, we should be able to agreeably agree and disagree. Wayne came back and said, yeah, but how many people will be okay with that? And Gary came back and said, it's
you
maturity.
read the whole story.
No, I'm not reading the whole story. I'm just saying the key points in it. And Gary just said, but it's an excellent conversation. That's what we're talking about. We just said it's maturity. But again, we use the word maturity, but people don't know what that means. People think maturity is because you reach a certain age.
Right.
You could be 101 and be dumb as a bag of rocks.
Yeah. Just like common sense.
So I mean, I know people who are my age who act like they a third of my age.
That is probably more frequent than you think.
So I agree with all that. But so as we wrap up, do I think the people who know better has to be more of a concerted effort. The people who know better, even if everybody just decided that, and this sounds corny, each one reach one. Even if everybody started, okay, I'm gonna make sure my son knows this. I'm gonna make sure my sons knows this. I'm gonna make sure my daughter knows this. I'm gonna make sure my grandkids know, because it didn't happen overnight. It's not gonna go away overnight. But as long as there's not a sense of brotherhood, we're gonna continue to go backwards and lose ground like we're doing now, because we are losing ground.
Yeah,
we're losing ground, man. I mean, they taking voter rights off the books. Rules and laws that gave us a chance to vote. They still got lynching laws on the book in some of the southern states. Nobody fussing about that.
Like sundown towns too.
Yeah, ain't nobody taking that. Yeah, ain't nobody taking that off. In some towns, man, it was a truck driver said he was in some town, man, and you got to be. And white person, dude, you can't be here when it get dark.
Yeah, they really still got that, like sundown.
Yeah, and this is so something, but so we got to stick together, because that we shouldn't be. We arguing about. We'll fill up the football stadium with the Eagles. We argue like they're our team. We say me, we. But when it comes to stuff that we should be passionate about, and I'm not saying don't be passionate about sports, because I am, but it's other stuff we need to be passionate about. We need to be passionate about how can we fix the chasm that we have between Black people. Mm-hmm. How can we fix when you can speak to brothers walking down the street, when you do hold the door. I held the door open, the day of Amber's wedding. I held the door for this lady. I thought she was gonna kiss me. Oh, I've been trying to teach my boys that for so long, and I'm so glad you did it. First I was thinking, why did you do it? And it was a white lady, but she was like, and I couldn't shut her up. But until then, we passed each other several times in the store, didn't even make eye contact. And then I've held the door for some African American woman, and they look at you like you about to steal their purse. What you have to?
I mean, that's probably part of the dilemma sometimes too, is that we don't even treat others of other ethnicities a lot better than we treat ourselves.
But it's a lack of brotherhood.
Yeah.
Like I got pulled over, but I can't.
Right. Yeah. I think that happens way too often than not. Like we definitely look to kind of appease everybody else versus like trying to kind of work.
I know how you are about your 4 minutes over.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good conversation. I think. I think it definitely went by fast. I think we kind of covered a lot tonight related to, I think brotherhood is certainly lacking right now in our community.
But I think it's an essential ingredient for any
Mhm.
success, for business, ethnic
Yes.
group, family. I just think brotherhood is an essential, is a necessity tool. It's a necessity. It's a necessary ingredient, and we don't talk about it enough. And my last sports analogy, I get into this discussion all the time. This Phillies team was not the most talented Phillies team by far that we've ever had here. But you know what? They believed in each other.
They come together.
They believed in each other.
Some boys come together.
They did.
They should have won that.
They should have. But I'm just saying, it's just like when they asked AJ Brown about that catch, and they were like, were you surprised? We work on this in practice
Every day.
And they asked Jalen, he did the same thing. He said, no, I'm not surprised because I know what he can do. He said, matter of fact, I expect him to do that.
And I think that's a good
I expect him to do that.
Good analogy for brotherhood. You know what I mean? Like, one thing, they know what each other does, and he expects them to do that. He expects them to do great things.
So when everybody else was like, "Oh well, he bailed you out,"
Nope.
No, we practiced that. But my expectation was he was supposed to catch that. I wasn't jumping up and down saying he built. No, I put the ball to hit his hand. He do it every day in practice. He's supposed to catch that. Brotherhood is saying, I expect you to pick me up. When the world jumping up and down saying, "Ooh, I'm looking," now that's my expectation.
And you heard AJ Brown to step up and be like, "No, that we do that."
Yep.
And not that. Oh, that was a bad ball. Could have easily said that.
But I'm gonna tell you, and this is my last point. It's so funny because people, how do you feel Devontae Smith? He had 99 yards.
Still a good day.
But I'm saying, but everybody was like, he got one catch for 7 yards.
I needed 199. That's a story for that.
But I'm just saying though, he that's a good day.
It is. I'm not
That's
knocking
a
that at all.
good day.
I'm not saying that it's not.
No, I know, but I'm just saying though, people try to make it a big deal, like, "Oh, you didn't get the ball." Yeah. Now, if you're Dallas Goddard, okay, you might say, "Look, come on, you gotta stop throwing me screens. You gotta stop throwing me screens." I know you fancy football people.
I know. That's what I'm like. You're saying all the things.
You gotta stop throwing me screens.
They kind of hurt right now.
But the point I'm making is, when we'll close, I think, just like my devotion to beyond relationships, I think brotherhood is the same way. I think it's something that, as a society, we've minimized. We made it seem like it wasn't important. And you do that enough, it starts to become a culture. And like the cancel culture. There ain't no grace and mercy in the cancel culture. You done. And I think that contributes to this whole thing of lack of brotherhood. So, we just, and that's the problem though, because you can never be successful in anything if you keep having these divisions, if you keep having these chasms, if we fighting over stupid stuff, we fighting over a crumb when there's a whole cake over there that we could have.
That's what people do.
But that's what lack of brotherhood does to us. We focus on the crumb and not the cake.
Yeah, I think just kind of, for me, it's important that you find like-minded people, that are either going to push you, inspire you, like hold you accountable, like you mentioned or said earlier. I think that's kind of a key. And I feel like I think there's hope.
Hope. Me.
It's just going to take some time.
I do. And I
T20,
right? Yeah.
and I think it's going to happen quicker than we think, because just the times we live in. I think people are going to start to understand that they desperately need to be in solid relationships.
Yeah,
because
being
isolated in this day and age is not going to be a good thing. It's not, because it's just like the animal kingdom, man. You isolated too long, they'll pick you off. They'll figure out you by yourself.
I thought you were just saying a lot of people gonna be buying cats and dogs.
Yeah. But and that's what, like, when lions and when they hunt, they look for the slow one. They look for the slow one. It's not that they can't catch them, but they look for the ones who will take the least amount of work. Yeah. They ain't dumb.
Yeah, I know. So, again, great episode. Great talk, everybody. I appreciate you guys tuning in for another great, fantastic episode of Above Average Black Man, where we empower, inspire, and uplift the community.
Again, like, follow, subscribe, share, comment. Again, we are on TikTok as well, so look out for that. And all other platforms like Instagram, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify. Well, we're getting to Apple Music. We're going to be there one day.
We will be.
I'm speaking into
existence. That's on me. I got to do it. It's crazy because we all got Apple phones, man. So we should be
Take care, everybody.
Peace. Have a good one, man.
Peace.
That was some decent engagement from me. I like that.
Like,